All right, this is David at Stoneyard.com. We put cement board up, so we have studs behind this. We need to put tape on the corners. We need to put tape on the joints. And we also want to cover these screw heads with some of the high bond. So let's get started. So the first thing he's doing is just applying a little bit. And again, remember how I said go 3 inches wide, an extra ½ inch on each side? As long as the tape is 100% covered, you don't have to go that extra ½ inch. But you can go 5 inches wide, 6 inches wide, it doesn't matter, you can go more. Just I don't want to create too much of a bump. And so we'll kind of continue this along this whole skirt and continue to do the joints, continue to cover the screw holes. And I said, the next part after letting this dry will be to put on 2 coats of the air and water barrier.
This is Brian from Stoneyard, and this is Dave from Stoneyard. Today we're going to be putting Hadro band on an already prepped corner. We're going to do this in 2 stages. We're going to put on 1 coat, we're going to let it dry, and then we're going to come back and do a 2nd coat.
One of the things I wanted to mention is this is in the sunlight, and so this was getting super hot, and this is early in the morning because it's in direct sunlight. So we checked the temperature. This is within that 60 to 90 degree range. And you know, we've mixed up the air and water barrier, hydro band, and we're putting on coats of it. We want it to be between 15 and 22 mils in thickness. Do you like that bigger brush better, Brian?
Absolutely.
And especially for the 2nd coat, covering more real estate quicker. Yep, that's perfect. That's at 18, but 18 is within that 15 to 22. We're gonna be covering this apron with stone, and from that end all the way around this corner, we're gonna use Boston Blend Ashlar. We're gonna go with the dry joint. And that's gonna go all the way behind these stairs right to about here. And then the next section, all in through here, is gonna be Boston Blend Square and Rec, and that's gonna be jointed. Once we get to this point, we're gonna stop with the Square and Rec, and we're gonna go to the Mosaic. So Boston Blend Mosaic, we're gonna wrap it with the corners. And then it goes back another couple of feet around this corner here. And so it's gonna just end right here. So if you want to see some of that, we'll have it on display.
Hi, I'm Juliana from JS Masonry Inc. We perform in the stone veneer at Stoneyard warehouse. So far, we're doing this wall with the Boston Blend Ashlar, dry fit, in a natural layout. So we're trimming much as we can, but the idea is trying to use the natural shape of the stones. So once we're done with this section, we're gonna move on. The next panel, we're gonna put the Boston Blend Square Rex. I'll show you. That's how we're gonna hide the transition here, behind the steps. And from this point on, this section would be like full fill with this layout. But this one, it's gonna be with the mortar joints, not dry fit. So we'll give it the contrast, dry, and this with the mortar joints. And then we'll keep you posted with the updates.
So this area we're putting mosaic up. So mosaic is irregular pieces. So we're going to trim these pieces up, but they might fit together, you know, something along this way. And we'll make your joints nice and even. But we're using square and rec corners to work in conjunction with this. So the square and rec corners can be kind of regular. And so what we're doing is we're marking and we're trimming the corner pieces. So we've got that bottom one, we've trimmed some away, and look at, now we've trimmed this away. And then, you know, not that we have any particular stone in mind, but you know, we might trim this stone off to fit into that area to make it irregular. Let's look at the other side too. So look at how squared off this other side is. And look, we made a little mark that we're going to trim away a little bit here so that later, you know, we can fit in some stone like that. And then, you know, it might not be that stone, but so we're connecting it to this line and then moving down in some direction. We could have been up here, we could have been further down, but that line looks perfect. So we're taking square and rec corners and making them into mosaic corners, just as we need it, where we need it.
Okay.
Yeah. So look at this. This is Boston Blend Square and Rec. The stone was put on, the spaces were pulled out, and now the pointed mortar is getting put in. And you know, some of this is drying, some of it hasn't dried. But notice, you know, pretty consistent, you know, let's just call it 1/2-inch joints. But notice this intersection, that's probably 1 inch or so, maybe 1.5 inches. But it disappears because it's filled. Like over here again, this is a little bit wider and you don't even notice it. So even though we want, you know, 1/2-inch joints, it doesn't need to be 1/2 inch everywhere. Just keep most of it that way. And it's important, we've got a natural edge, we don't want sawn against sawn. It just doesn't look right. This natural contour, even though this rolls off around, it's not perfectly square, this kind of comes up a little bit, complements that nicely. This is perfect. And then later, you know, a week or so later, we'll wet this down, put the Vanitrol, Croteau's Vanitrol acid cleaner on this. That's a safe cleaner for stone. And this, you know, some of this little bit of mortar and stuff that's on the face of the stone, some of that will get pulled off. And then the rest of the stone will become nice and clean, and it will be good forever. So enjoy. Now you've got a couple of gaps that, you know, is quite a bit, but some of it's being hidden here, and this is somewhat similar. And so once he points that, it'll all go away. What he'll do is he'll grout right over that stone, and then, you know, almost like the thickness of my pinky, it'll go a little bit skinnier there than back there. But this, even though it looks really wide like that, looks like it's touching, he'll even that out a little bit.